My next recipe is Mediterranean in style, but with the main ingredients that I found a little closer to home. I spent many happy years living and working in Cyprus, where I grew to love the local produce. So imagine my surprise when I found an ingredient I had always identified with the Mediterranean being produced in sunny Yorkshire. When it comes to cheese, I've always associated Yorkshire with the likes of Wensleydale. But there's a lady who's made it her mission to bring a southern European cheese to the Dales, though it hasn't been an easy journey. Judy Bell began making her homemade sheep's milk feta almost 30 years ago. It was her own allergy to cow's milk that inspired her.
I started Shepherd's Purse because I realised that there were quite a lot of people who were intolerant to bovine products, to cow's milk products. I decided to investigate and came home and said to my husband, shall we milk sheep and make cheese?
As you do, Judy. Experimentation began in her own farmhouse kitchen, and soon creating a white, crumbly Greek-style feta cheese became a passion for the whole family.
Her passion has completely and utterly rubbed off on both myself and my sister. Mum's passion for the cheese that she's producing is totally infectious.
This enthusiasm meant that she was determined to make a Greek-style feta from the milk of the local sheep, which fed on the local grass, and then sell it to local customers.
So we made Yorkshire feta, and we salted it not quite so heavily as Greek feta. So instead of putting it into a brine solution, we put it into a wax coating, and it really does keep it fresh and clean. Not a drip look. Yeah. When I'd made the cheese, of course, I had to go out and sell it.
And back in those early days, the business really was a family business, all run from the family home.
So my husband and I set off up the Dales, dropping samples of the cheese off with all the little delis and cheese shops, and I was quite pleased. The majority of them wanted more to try and sell, so it worked really, really well.
In 1993, things really took off with a prestigious award at the Great Yorkshire Show.
And when I came down off the rostrum, having picked up my prize, I was surrounded by Tesco.
With a big supermarket chain clambering at the door, her business and her feta were going from strength to strength, but that was all about to change.
A letter dropped on our desk from DEFRA telling us that we would not be able to make feta any longer. It was a great surprise.
It turned out that Greece wanted its feta to have a protected designation of origin, meaning only feta from Greece could use the name, and so a battle commenced.
I was really, really cross and wrote letters to my MP, and the dialogue started. And it went on and on and on, and it was a case of, yes, you can use feta, no, you can't use feta. They couldn't make a decision, but eventually we actually had to stop branding it as Yorkshire feta.
Despite having created a highly respected and popular cheese, Judy and her family were no longer allowed to sell it. Their Yorkshire feta needed a new name.
We got lots of support from the general public, lots and lots of letters of suggesting, but everything that we sent to DEFRA, they rejected, until we eventually came up with fine fettle Yorkshire cheese.
But would a feta cheese not called feta really catch on?
Look at that finished product.
Despite her long international battle, Judy is pretty upbeat about the future.
Fine fettle to us Yorkshire folk means that we've fixed it. So Yorkshire fettle is here to stay. We are going from strength to strength.
I reckon Judy's cheese will bring a Yorkshire twist to my Cypriot dish. I'm delighted that Judy has travelled down from Yorkshire and has brought with her some of that fettle cheese, which will make a wonderful addition to my spinach and pine nut parcels. Welcome, Judy.
Hi there.
Now, what a fascinating story that is about the fettle.
I started the business making sheep's milk cheeses, and I thought, well, everybody will know this is a sheep's milk cheese, and so I will call it Yorkshire Feta, distinguishing it because it's not as salty as a Greek Feta. We don't sit it in brine.
And this is the Feta here?
That's the Feta, yes.
Can I try some?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the wax. Again, that's very different.
The wax keeps it nice and fresh. Great in sauces, but there is nothing better than a 100% sheep's milk Feta.
Now, this dish is going to be a spinach and pine nut parcel. And I'm going to use this fettle inside it as well, which I think will work extremely well.
Would you like me to crumble it?
Do you know what? Yes. I'm going to get you a little plate. Hang on. There you go, Judy. If you could just break down that fettle for me, that'd be fantastic. This recipe is based on a Middle Eastern speciality called the fataya, which I've eaten before. Rather than using pastry, the filling is wrapped in a soft bread dough. It might seem unusual for a pie over here, but in the Med, it's how they've been making them for centuries. Now, in this bowl, I've got some flour, to which I'm going to add some seasoning, some salt, and I'm going to add some yeast to this. I'm using the fast action stuff because, I mean, to be honest, it's far easier to use than the fresh. It doesn't stink out your fridge because stick that in your fridge and it stinks after 2 weeks. This stuff lasts forever. Blend it all together. Then add a little bit of olive oil, a splash of water, and mix until it forms a soft dough. I'm just going to pop it on the bench and then just work it. Basically, just stretch it for a couple of minutes just to smooth it off a little bit and actually incorporate all the ingredients throughout the whole dough. And you end up with a beautiful, smooth dough like that, which needs to go back in the bowl and rest it for about an hour. After an hour, it will rise. And the only reason why I've covered it is if you're in a drafty area, it just prevents the skin from growing on the top, that's all. So pull out the dough. It's lovely and smooth and soft. What we need to do is divide this up, and we're going to make some parcels with it. So first of all, I'll probably take, that would be enough for 1, 2. The balls are roughly about 100 gram each, maybe a little bit more. There you go. Now, in a pan, I'm just going to put this heat on at the moment because what I'm going to use as the base is obviously spinach. And I'm actually using frozen spinach. Now, you might be surprised to see me using frozen spinach, but it's actually quite easy to use. And if you get a good quality one, it can be less watery than the fresh stuff. And then you're going to evaporate off the liquid. And what will happen is this will turn into a beautiful mush, not too dissimilar to this. Into this bowl, I'm going to add some pine nuts. Now, I've toasted these. I think it releases the flavour. Do you like toasted pine nuts? I mean, the difference is just huge. Pop that in there as well. And obviously, you've crumbled down some beautiful fettle.
Yes.
And this is going to go inside there as well. I'm going to add a little bit of mint and basically just fold all these ingredients together. And this is the key ingredient in the parcels itself. Now, a little bit of flour on the bench. Get my, I always have to have at least one. It's like a lucky spin. Roll out the pieces of dough. You want to make it into a rough circle. There you go. And all you do is grab a
That
good...
smells delicious.
It is gorgeous. I don't really want my parcels to look like a Cornish pasty, so I have another plan. This is the funny bit. Flatten it down, because I want to make these quite triangular. So you shape it with your hands, shape the filling into a rough triangle, like so. That's pretty triangular to me. And then you grab the sides and then pinch that down, like so, to seal it. You bring up the base, which is here, lift it up, pinch that down that side, and again the other side, pinch it all the way down again. So what you end up with is almost a triangle pastry, like so. Bake them at 220 for 15 minutes. And they should look like this. You have spinach,
Amazing.
pine nut, fettle, parcels. These are proper little hand-sized pies. Leave them to cool for a bit and they'll be perfect to take on a family picnic.